You're losing money before the bell even rings because you're not using this 10-minute trading plan. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a trading plan for both ES and NQ futures, which is exactly what I trade. I also want to let you know that I'm doing a free masterclass on October 30th, 7 p.m. It's absolutely free. Click the link below to sign up. This is not just some generic webinar. I'm actually going to be showing my entire trading strategy on this webinar, the strategy that made me a 7-figure trader over my 10-year trading journey. Now, why is planning so important? You might relate to this. So when I started trading, I took it very seriously. I tried very, very hard every single day. I would sit down at my desk and I would spend a lot of time actively analyzing the market, trying to figure out what was going on with the candlesticks. But if you ever asked me at any point in time during that session, what was my goal for the day? What was my goal for the week? What was my goal for the month? I didn't have an answer because I wasn't planning. So a trade plan is really just a set of guardrails that is going to allow you to focus all of your mental energy in a session on what you need to do in that session, which is hopefully make some freaking money. Now, we're going to use a trading plan template that I created a while back for a 30-day challenge. This is something that I've also given to people in my community for free because I like giving traders tools. So we're going to use some prior work here. Feel free to steal this. Steal this concept entirely. Use it. Save yourself the time that I went through, okay? I have it pulled up here in Notion. I'll share it with you. Now, this is actually a combination of a trading plan and kind of my entire, daily strategy. And again, if you go back to that story where I started, where if you asked me what was I doing, I didn't have a plan for trading. I didn't really have a plan for myself either. So you can see here at the top, I start with 3 wins. These are for myself. So stretching, drinking a cup of water, and watching a motivational video. These are things that I try to do every single day to this day. And the reason that I do that is because before I go and risk money and take on the stress that is being a trader, I want to start with some easy wins. It's one of those things where it's like there was that naval commander who talked about making your bed first every single day, right? If you make your bed first every single day, you'll be set up for success. Very similar concept. So you could choose your own wins from that. When I started doing this, by the way, it was really the key that unlocked profitability for me. I went from being very boom and bust, right? Hit and win, to having an exceptionally high level of certainty, right? So instead of being confused, I became certain, right? Instead of being inconsistent, I became very, very consistent, all because I had a plan. Now, things don't always go according to your plan, but because you have a plan, it's easy for you to clock in and clock out of the market at any point in time. So the first thing on our checklist, let's assume that we did our 3 wins. Let's assume that we drink a cup of water, okay? Let's assume that we watched a motivational video. The first thing that we need to do is some weekly time frame analysis. So I'm looking at ES here. We're gonna go to the 1-week chart. We'll pop it up. Now, I'm a volume profile trader, so we're going to put on the visible range volume profile, pop this over to the other side of the screen. And really the only thing I care about are where these nodes are. So right now on my chart, there are a few different areas that are interesting to me. Let me get this over here. Okay. One is this shelf right here. So let me go ahead and get a horizontal line. Okay. We've got a pretty big shelf down here, 63.1775. Okay. There's also a major node right over here. Okay, that's actually the wrong tool. Let's swap to this tool. Okay, there's a node right there, edge of a shelf, and then the other side of that shelf is right here. Okay, so the only question that I'm trying to answer is what liquidity matters right now. So I've outlined the edges of the nodes. Okay, so there's a big node below us. We gapped up. Okay, it's currently 8 p.m. on Sunday. We just gapped up, settlement open. We don't really have to think too much about what's happening from here. We're just notating where liquidity is. I could start to form some thesis here. So I'll take a note and just say, well, actually, let's take a screenshot. I think if that's possible. Let me find where my screenshot tool is. Let me copy, boom. Okay. Then I'll go to Notion down here and I'll hit paste. Okay. So I've embedded my image into the video. And I'll add some notes here like we gapped up at open and the previous weekly high is slightly above the previous node. So a mixture of note taking and coming up with a plan. So now we're going to go down to some daily analysis. There's not much else here. I could have some general other thoughts here, right? Like the fact that we are clearly in an uptrend. Okay. Also, Trump just said the China 100% tariffs are off. Okay, another taco trade. Trump always backs out of his tariff threats. If you didn't realize that by now, well, it's probably a bootlicker, unfortunately. So let's go to the daily time frame. So visible range here. Now, at this point in time, we've jumped down from the weekly to the daily. And you're probably like, well, what's the big deal? That's an order of magnitude 7 times less than the weekly. I know it's one selection to the other, but it's an important difference. Okay, so what I want to see here is on this much lower time frame. I know the daily is still high time frame, but on this much lower time frame, is there confluence with what we saw on the weekly? We got some random lines here. It's looking crazy. Who knows what this is from? Okay. Is there any difference here? Okay, I noticed that this shelves are mostly the same. If I'm looking here on my daily, I noticed that we had this kind of W pattern that played out, right? Called that on my live stream, by the way. Check that out. Okay, so we can see here that the W pattern played out on the daily. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Let me get you the arrow here. Okay, all the W pattern is, by the way, is you can expect a higher low, right? And then a continuation to the beginning of the W. So the beginning of the W in this case was right here. We'll turn this around. Okay, this was the beginning of the W, and you can kind of see it coming if you have experience. Okay, so in terms of a thesis, not much to say here. We're at all-time highs, nothing else there. Okay, so we'll check these boxes off. Okay, the 4 to 12 hour time frame, and we're just going to go through every single time frame, guys. Okay, so now we're on a low time frame. This is the time frame that I trade on, is the 4 hour. Okay, this is a low time frame for me. I know for a lot of people are trading on in terms of minutes. I trade on the hourly, which is why most of my trades are held for hours and are a couple hundred points. Okay. So we have the visible range here. The point of control is where this white line is. The point of control is the place with the most volume on the volume profile. We can see that here. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, we can start to formulate a thesis here. What's most likely to happen? We've gapped up at settlement. If the market comes down, okay, from here, where is it most likely to find support? Well, this prior line here, okay, there's a very obvious shelf, right? A node, the edge of an auction there. What do I mean by that? The volume profile shows us how many people transacted at a price. You can infer from that people are positioned there. Their basis is there. People have to act around their basis. It is core to my trading methodology, right? Just like you react when price comes back to your entry, so does literally everyone everywhere at every size in the market, okay? So we've got that there. So on the 4 to 12 hour, we want to say the macro shelf, if we come lower, let's just say if we come lower, most likely find support for low of the day in that session at 67.90. There's also gap fill potential. Do that. So what is the overall trend? These are some other questions we can ask ourselves. Obviously, we're in an uptrend. You notice I put here on this time frame. This is key. You could be in a 1 hour downtrend, but in an uptrend on the daily. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're playing within your macro when you're on your shorter time frames as well. There's another note here that says, I understand my conclusion might be I don't get this, which means I would be gambling if I have no edge on this given day. This is why you plan. And the reason that I wrote this out is because it's a reminder when you use my template that after you do all of your analysis, this may take you 20 minutes tops, you might not have a strong bias or intuition about what's going to happen next. And so you should immediately switch from trading mode to observation mode, learning mode. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can get up if you feel like you're going to be trigger happy, but at some point in your trading career, you have to be able to sit and watch the charts with the intention of just learning, understanding what's happening. Can you make sure that the next time that the market has similar conditions that you are ready and you have intuition? So many of you are so worried about making money right now that you forget that if you learn about right now is going to happen again later and you can make money later. Okay, it's key. So on the micro, okay, I've marked prior day high and low. So now this is a key concept here. Okay, for me, there are 4 areas every single day that are ideal for taking a trade, which is prior day high, prior day low, overnight high, overnight low. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is actually, let's make sure we add our volume here as well. You could do this with a few different indicators. I also mix this in with just marking like the most relevant high and lows. So the prior day low, if this was the previous day here, prior day high was here. We've already smoked that. The prior day low isn't really relevant because we had this uptrend. So the most relevant low is going to be this one. Okay, let's just change this color to yellow. And we also have this other one here. So these are going to be lows that we look for to long off of if we sweep these. And the reason why these are in play for a sweep is because we still would have a higher low off of these lows down here. So, all right, so we can do a trend line. Okay, and our W turns into a new trend line. Okay, so we could sweep these, still have a higher low in play for a very vertical market, in this case, above this trend line. I don't think that trend line is retested. I'm just highlighting the higher low pattern that's in play there. That's our micro analysis. We can go down to the 1 hour, and let's start looking at overnight. So I'm just doing this on every single time frame. Okay, you can go as in-depth as you want. Okay, when I'm on my computer, I do this much more in depth. I'm on my iPad right now though. Okay, we'll notice that the prior session closed as a P-shape VP. P-shape means we accumulated volume higher. If we come and retest this price action, okay, very likely it's gonna come down at least and reclaim that entire node. Okay, something like that. But at that point, I wouldn't be surprised again if we came down to that 67.90 price. All right, you should kind of anticipate and expect that. So my action plan, based off of everything that I've just said out loud, is there something very clear? Okay, and this part of this is repetition, straight up. It's straight repetition. Based off of the order of thoughts and the neurons firing in my brain, because I've been doing this for 30, 90, whatever days. What do I think is gonna happen? Okay, so by outlining where liquidity is, by understanding where the prior day high and low is, by understanding what the trend is on each time frame, you might have an intuition about what's gonna happen. Well, I'll tell you guys right now that again, I think 67.90 is in play. If we have a very bullish day, it's gonna come down to this area right here. We're gonna clean up this auction, go higher. So it does a gap fill, comes down, right? People chase short right at this price and then it goes higher, or we'll come down. We could traverse into this node down here and then possibly even come and sweep this low if they really wanna smoke people out. Okay, what's gonna be key here is around 7 a.m., I want to see how price has acted overnight and if we've cleaned up any of the gap and or the P shape from Friday. Okay, this is going to be important. Depending on what I see at that time, I will have a better idea of which level is up first. So this is key here. You're probably, oh, well, he doesn't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen right now. This is an interesting setup. We had a settlement open gap. Okay, there's a lot of imbalance lower in here. Okay, which could be cleaned up in a few ways. And so I want to eliminate as many options as possible. If you've been watching me for a while, some days I'm extremely certain I say this is going to happen, and it happens. And a lot of the time, because trading is like poker, you just have bad hands. So this is a really, really key thing here. I'm going to write it down. Because trading is like poker, I don't need to actually figure out every single hand. I can just wait patiently for a good hand to present itself. This is key because unlike poker, there are no blinds. Okay. Now, if you've never played poker, I want you to go and look up what the big and small blind are. But in poker, you have to pay to play. You have to pay to play. Now, there's fees and stuff like that in the trading space, but like technically, I don't have to put a trade on to watch the charts. I can watch the charts for free. Absolutely. Like you don't have to trade. You don't have to figure out the C days or the B days even, or the D days. You can just wait for the A trades. And that's the hardest thing about trading. Planning, and what's cool about planning, why it's so useful and why it helped me go from being this boom and bust trader who was very emotional and felt like I had it and then I didn't have it. And I feel like I had it and then I didn't have it. And I was like, man, I should just focus on my job. Or no, I got this. No, I should just get a different job. No, I got this. Great. That boom and bust cycle, both financially and psychologically, is because now I had something to do. Okay, now I was planning. Now I became a note taker. I have thousands of entries, guys, in Notion from just writing stuff down. And it doesn't have to be a novel. This took, I don't know how long I've been hot for on the microphone, a few minutes. I did it pretty high level because I'm doing a video, but go in depth. Be in love with this. Okay, the only way that you're gonna be exceptional in anything is you have to be passionate about it. You have to be violently passionate about the things that you wanna master, or you'll just be mediocre at them and you'll be frustrated at the feedback that you get related to it constantly because you're gonna be putting a lot of time into it, but it's not gonna be worthwhile time. So take the time to plan, take the time to master and become a student of the market. Use my template, steal this, okay? It should not take you nearly as long to become profitable as it did me. That's the whole point. The mark of is a good teacher is that his students are better than him. And I hope that at least some of you not only become profitable, but you make way more money than I ever did in the markets, and tell me about it. That would be awesome. So subscribe, join my webinar on Thursday, 7 p.m. Okay. VPE Masterclass will be covering all of these concepts in depth with examples. I'll be walking you through every single example and turning you from wherever you are today, feeling stuck, into somebody who is on the super speed highway towards success. See you in the next video. Peace.